Hello and welcome to a new lesson on how to make your chord progressions a little more interesting. Sorry I've been away so long. I've been pretty busy with Tinder lately, so hopefully I'll make some more lessons here this coming month and the next month. I'm going to show you a note outside of the key signature that you can use in your chords or your melodies to make it a little more interesting. It's called a tritone. You can pretty much only use it in minor. I'm sure you can use it in major, but it's most commonly used and easiest to use in a minor key. This tritone chord, I'll call it, is used by the Arctic Monkeys a lot in their first album. So I'm going to show you how they use it so you can use it in your progressions. It's also a really good chord to jam on if you're just jamming with friends. It's really easy just to get some ideas rolling. So like I said, you can pretty much only use this in minor keys. So let's take F sharp minor. I think that's the easiest one to visualize on a guitar. So if we're in F sharp minor, here's our F sharp. And then if you go, so F sharp would be on the second fret of the E string. If you go to the third fret of the A string, so it's diagonally up, that note right there is the money note that we're going to focus on today. And here's a little scale lesson for you to start off. Pentatonic scale is pretty much a scale that you can use. It's 5 notes, and every note that you play will sound good if it's in the right key. It's pretty much a play whatever you want and get away with scale. And it's just playing in the, so if we're in F sharp minor, it will play the first note, which is F sharp, and it'll play the third, 4, 5, and then 7. Then it goes back to 8 or 1. So it's just 5 notes. And using those notes as the bass, you can play a power chord off of each one. If you don't know what a power chord is, it's just 1, 5 octave. And it's shaped just like this. And power chords are ambiguous. You don't know if it's minor or major because there's not the information given as to what the third is. So power chords are really cool to play and get away with also if you don't know if it's minor or major. Anyway, back to this pentatonic thing. You can play a power chord for each scale degree. So it will sound like this. And a song that uses that kind of thing, I'm sure you guys might know that song. So using those notes, we can pretty much play we can just riff around with chords, which is a really good way to kind of come up with some new songs. Because sometimes in songwriting, you get stuck playing these just open chords, and it's kind of hard to think of new ideas. But using these 5-note chords, or these chords made of 5 different notes, it can kind of get your brain flowing into more rhythmic things, kind of like this. So there I'm just using those 5 notes just kind of randomly. I didn't plan that out. Just kind of playing whatever rhythm comes to me. So that being said, once you know those that 5-note scale, you can add in what this is called a tritone. And it's one of the more interesting sounding intervals in music. It sounds like YYZ. So using this tritone, you can use it in the pentatonic scale I just showed you for a riff, and it will sound pretty interesting. So here, I'll show you. So there it is right there. So you can just use it however you want. It kind of sounds cool if you just riff around it. But the cool way to use it is if you actually use a power chord using that tritone, which would be, if we're in F sharp is the second fret of the E string, we're going to play the third fret of the A string. I think it's called a tritone because there are 3 whole steps between the 2 pitches. Anyway, you can use this and build a power chord off it and use it in sequence with those F sharp pentatonic chords. So here's an example of what I'm talking about. So right there I played it and went back to F sharp minor, or just the power chord right there. Here's other ways that you can use it, just kind of messing around with it. Sometimes you can just land on it and kind of just have your drummer just going wild while you're just playing and then end up on the root of the minor key that you're in. So there you have it, just like a pretty simple little tritone that you can use as a power chord, and it sounds just cool if you're just jamming. Trying to incorporate it into a riff might make it interesting. Or a bass line. Just any way you can use it, kind of spices it up a little bit, steps outside the key signature, and that's always cool to do. So there you have it. There's how to use a tritone as a chord or just a note in a riff. Make your progression songs a little more interesting, and kind of also a nod to the Arctic Monkeys because they use that all the time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. I hope to see you next time with some more lessons on how to make your progressions more interesting.